I stopped abruptly, my heart pounding in my chest as I turned to look. The beam of light from my phone swept over the trees, but there was nothing there, just the darkness, the silence. I shook my head, laughing nervously to myself. "You're imagining things," I muttered, resuming my run. But the footsteps returned, louder this time, closer. They stopped when I stopped, and when I picked up the pace, so did they. The pit in my stomach grew heavier with each passing second. My breath came quicker, and my legs burned as I pushed myself to go faster. The trail seemed to stretch endlessly ahead of me, the shadows growing longer and darker. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, to run back the way I came. But I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was behind me was waiting for just that. And then I saw it, a figure standing in the middle of the path ahead, illuminated by the faint glow of my flashlight. It was tall, its features obscured by the shadows, but its presence was unmistakable. My heart felt like it was about to burst from my chest as I slowed to a stop. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. No response. The figure didn't move, didn't make a sound. It just stood there, motionless, staring. I backed away slowly, my breath hitching as I kept my eyes locked on the figure. Suddenly, it moved, stepping off the path and disappearing into the trees. Relief washed over me for a moment, but it was short-lived. The footsteps returned, this time faster, heavier, and coming from both sides of the trail. Panic took over. I turned and ran as fast as I could, the sounds of pursuit growing louder, closer. The woods seemed to close in around me, the trees pressing tighter, their branches clawing at my skin as I sprinted through the darkness. My flashlight flickered and died, plunging me into blackness. The laughter started, then low and guttural, echoing from all directions. It was a cruel, mocking sound that sent chills down my spine. I didn't dare look back. I didn't want to see what was chasing me. After what felt like an eternity, I burst out of the woods and onto the main road, gasping for air. The street lights overhead felt like salvation, their soft glow chasing away the shadows. I didn't stop running until I reached my house, slamming the door shut behind me and locking every bolt. My chest heaved as I pressed my back against the door, listening for any sound of pursuit. But there was nothing, just the faint hum of the refrigerator and the pounding of my own heartbeat. I don't know who or what was in those woods that night, but I haven't set foot on that trail since. The memory of that dark figure and the laughter that followed still haunts me. Sometimes, late at night, I think I hear footsteps outside my window. I tell myself it's just my imagination. If you ever find yourself tempted to explore the woods after dark, remember this: some places aren't meant to be seen at night, and some things aren't meant to be found. Salam had grown up hearing chilling tales about the forest, whispers about shadowy figures roaming among the trees, cries of a lost child echoing in the dark, and an unsettling hum that supposedly drove people insane. But one tale stood out to her more than any other: the legend of the lantern keeper. According to the villagers, anyone who saw a flickering lantern in the woods at night was doomed to meet the keeper, a spectral figure whose lantern guided people to their untimely deaths. One fateful evening, Salam decided she would uncover the truth. Equipped with only a flashlight, a notebook, and her unwavering curiosity, she ventured into the forest. The air was damp and heavy, the trees towering like silent sentinels. As she moved deeper, she noticed an eerie silence descending upon the woods. No rustling leaves, no chirping insects, just an oppressive quiet that pressed on her chest. She paused for a moment to jot down her observations, when suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a faint, flickering light in the distance. Her heart raced. Was this the lantern keeper? Against her better judgment, she decided to follow it. The light moved steadily, always staying just out of reach. Salam called out, but the light offered no response. Her footsteps quickened, the forest growing darker around her with each passing second. She couldn't shake the feeling that the trees were closing in, their gnarled branches reaching toward her like skeletal hands. As she drew closer to the light, she began to notice something strange. The air grew colder, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over her. Her flashlight started to flicker, casting erratic shadows that danced menacingly on the forest floor. Still, she pressed on. Finally, she found herself standing in a small clearing. The lantern floated in the center, its glow illuminating a solitary figure cloaked in tattered rags. The figure didn't seem to notice her at first, its head bowed as if in deep contemplation. Then, slowly, it turned to face her. Salam felt her breath hitch. The lantern keeper's face was obscured by shadow, but its hollow, glowing eyes pierced through her like icy daggers. The keeper raised the lantern, and Salam heard a voice not spoken aloud, but echoing inside her mind. It was a chorus of whispers, chilling and incomprehensible. She felt an unnatural force pulling her toward the figure, her legs moving involuntarily. Panicking, she tried to break free, but it was as if her body was no longer her own. She began to see visions, flashes of other villagers who had entered the forest, their faces twisted in terror as they were led to their doom. She realized too late that she had become part of the keeper's curse. Suddenly, she was plunged into darkness. When she awoke, she was lying at the edge of the forest, her flashlight and notebook missing. The villagers found her there the next morning, muttering incoherently about the lantern keeper. Over time, Salam recovered, but she was never the same. Her once bright eyes now held a haunted, faraway look, and she never spoke of what happened in the forest again. But late at night, when the village was quiet, some claimed they could see her standing at the forest's edge, staring into the darkness, and if you looked closely, you might see a faint, flickering light reflected in her eyes.